via the Portugal Golden Visa and the Caribbean via Grenadine Partnership. So I have with me today Raj Chennai. And for those of you going to the US, you definitely want to know this man because Raj is managing director at LCR Capital Partners. He's based in Dubai and he's spearheading the firm's expansion into key strategic markets, including the Middle East, India, of the YPI. He's been an interviewer for the Penn program for 20 years. Raj has a BA from the University of Pennsylvania. He has an MPA from Harvard, and he has an MBA from Kellogg School of Management. Raj, welcome to this chat.
Thank you so much.
Raj, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to this chat, and please go ahead. I'll hand it.
Anshu, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Excellent to hear from Viral Doshi just before, and certainly grateful that I'm not applying to colleges in this era. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for taking the time to indeed, absolutely. So thanks once again. Again, I'm based in Dubai. I'm with LCR Capital Partners, as you mentioned, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time, the next 15 minutes or so, just walking through a little bit about what we do as a firm. And let's see here. Hopefully, I have a way to navigate this. Here we go. Are the slides visible, Anshu?
Yes, they are.
Great.
Yes.
Wonderful. So just to give you a little bit of an introduction to who we are, LCR Capital Partners focuses on helping families globally achieve U.S. residency. This slide here, you'll see in the middle, the immigrant investor programs. We specialize in the EB-5 program, which effectively allows families to secure the green card, the U.S. green card. We also have other parts of our business, including advisory services, and also access to alternative investment opportunities. But at the core of who we are as a firm is very much helping families achieve their aspirations to secure residency in the United States. We also have expanded into two other geographies. One is Europe via the Portugal Golden Visa program, and the third is the Caribbean, which is the Grenadian citizenship option, and that allows families to secure what is called the E2 visa. If there are questions around that, happy to take those at the end of the conversation. I'll focus much of this talk around the United States and what that might mean for some of you on this session. Let's see here. All right. So just a little bit of background on us as a firm. I think, as Anshu mentioned, I had the fortune of attending a couple of good schools. I'm originally from India, was born in Mumbai, and myself experienced a move to the United States at a young age. I also went through the green card process with the family, and so I'm a little bit of a case study of what it means to pursue this journey, moving from India to the US. And many of us on the team are in a similar situation in terms of our background. Many of us are from India. And we've studied at good schools. We've also worked at institutions such as McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, and other types of professional services organizations. And that's really, I think, a lot of what we bring to the table in working with our families is this element of being able to relate to their U.S. journey, regardless of their aspirations, if they're looking at studying in the U.S. and or working in the U.S. I think we would certainly have a high ability to relate to those aspirations and hopefully helping them achieve those aspirations. This is just an interesting slide that we've been using for a couple of years, and I think it really captures the essence of how powerful and amazing the United States has been for many immigrants around the world, and especially Indians. Over the past 45 years, I know this slide has a lot of details that you may not be able to read clearly. And by the way, for those of you who are interested in having a copy of this deck, we'll be happy to share this after the session. So if you can't read all the details, not to worry, we'll share a copy of this deck. What this really highlights is that from 1976 onwards, we have had some phenomenal leaders emerge from different sectors: technology, consumer goods, etc. If you look at 1976, we had Vinod Khosla emerge from Stanford University, and he ended up becoming a co-founder of Sun Microsystems. We have Indra Nooyi, who graduated from Yale, and she has now become the CEO of PepsiCo. And the story goes on, right? Satya Nadella, who is the now CEO of Microsoft, also came from University of Chicago, and we have case studies that have emerged from this part of the world where the U.S. has become a game changer in their academic pursuits, but more importantly, in their career pursuits. And this trend has continued into more recent years, as I'm sure you all are aware. What we find here on this is effectively just an interesting visual to see how the growth of international students applying and pursuing their U.S. college education has just Yes, now I can.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I've added them as well.
Yes, I'm back. You're back too. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Should I reload the deck?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, so you just show the PDF again. It will work.
Okay. All right.
I think we have so many people attending. The system's in shock.
Yes, apologies, guys. Can everyone see the slide?
I can very clearly.
Wonderful. So what I was saying here on this slide is that it just shows how the growth of international students pursuing their education in the U.S. has grown dramatically over the years. Right, we've got over 1.1 million students at U.S. campuses today, and that number continues to increase. What this means is that some of the most selective colleges, and I think as Viral Doshi has recently discussed, the acceptance rates have plummeted. The number of seats at the top schools from Penn, Columbia, Brown, Harvard, etc., they stayed the same. And so the competition has increased, and at Penn, 146% increase since 2004. So clearly, if I was applying right now, the chances of me getting in would be close to 0%. The next slide here is also very interesting. It shows that you have a significant delta in how international students effectively how their admissions rates are versus that of U.S. students, domestic students. And if we just take some examples here, you look at Harvard, 0.1% acceptance rate for international students, international applicants rather, and 4.5% for domestic. You look at Penn, delta is even wider, 1.5% for foreign applicants and 9.3% for U.S. either green card holders or citizens. So quite an incredible set of statistics here, and this applies to all colleges, not just the Ivy League or top school. And this year, we had even more compressed admission stats with, from 4.6. Last year it was 6.5%. Columbia went to 3.7%. Last year it was 6.1%. So very, very challenging times to be applying. In this slide, it's clear how we define or how colleges define international applicants. Effectively, if you are not a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you are considered an international applicant. It's as simple as that. This is directly from the MIT admissions website. And so that's really kind of how we define who is considered an international applicant. The font is a bit small, but I'll just kind of try to walk through some of the highlights. Some of you may be familiar with what is OPT. That's the Optional Practical Training Program. By definition, it's effectively a period during which undergraduate and graduate students with the F1 status who would have completed or are pursuing their degrees for an academic year are permitted by the U.S. government to work for 1 year in the U.S. And effectively, as you'll see here, there's you complete your studies, your OPT starts, you have a 1-year time frame under OPT to work in the US, and then as soon as that expires, unless you have an ability to do an extension as part of a STEM degree, which is your science, math, engineering type degree, you have an option to apply for a 2-year extension. But that's it, and that's the end of your F1 status, and at the end of this period, you must leave the US to either return to your home country or pursue graduate school. It's fairly black and white, and it's getting more and more challenging. This again is an interesting option that some students pursue, which is the H-1B visa, but it is increasingly difficult. There are 85,000 slots available, and the applications for this year, for example, are north of 275,000 applications for H-1B. That basically means you have a 31% chance of getting an H-1B that allows you to get sponsored by an employer in the US. This is, again, very restrictive in its nature. You cannot change jobs, you cannot change locations, you cannot even change your job function. So once again, H-1B is a very restrictive option for those of you thinking about pursuing permanent residency in the US. The alternative is the EB-5 visa, which you'll see on the top part of this page, right? And you can see just visually, it's a much more simplified, shorter set of steps. You apply for I-526. Once you achieve that, you can then, go through the process, get your green card, and after getting your green card, you can pursue any job in any industry, in any geography that you wish in the United States. So let's talk a little bit more about EB-5 and what it is. EB-5 is the fastest way to achieve permanent residency in the US. It is around a 24 to 36 month wait period to get what is called a conditional green card, which has all the same benefits as a permanent green card. Once you achieve the green card, you have another 24 months to wait to get the permanent green card, and you then have that for 10 years. It effectively can benefit family members, including children up to the age of 21 at the time of, so children who are 15 years, 18 years old, 10 years old can all benefit on application. You do have a path to citizenship. It's optional, but if you do wish to pursue US citizenship, you do have that option, which is 5 years after getting the conditional green card. The investment level here is $900,000, and this is an investment. It does come back to you at the end of a 5-year time frame, and that is where our firm, LCR Capital Partners, really plays a role in ensuring that the investment is made in a sound opportunity. Typically, we specialize in signature real estate hospitality projects. Capital then does come back at the end of 5 years. The benefits for students, more benefits, as I touched upon earlier, there are higher college acceptance rates for those who have US, lower tuition rates at public universities, the UC system, University of Michigan, and other public universities. You have access to merit-based scholarships and student loans, which you would otherwise not have as a foreign applicant. And then you have this phenomenal opportunity to avail of campus recruiting, which is a kind of a unique once-in-a-lifetime in which to seek both summer internship opportunities and permanent opportunities, full-time opportunities rather. The benefits for professionals and entrepreneurs, those of you who are thinking about graduating from a US college, you've worked hard through your high school, you've worked really hard in college, and now all of a sudden you're in this situation where the next milestone is securing your career of choice. You want to secure a career of choice that leverages all the skills and the experiences and the networks that you built in your university. And the reality is that with a green card, you have that freedom to pursue career mobility, to pursue recruitment on campus, freedom to start a company and pursue a startup opportunity. Startups, as you would, correctly assume, are unlikely to sponsor top talent. So, if you're thinking about anything entrepreneurial, the green card certainly plays a very pivotal role in that process. If you're looking at working at a multinational, at a McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, any of the top firms, investment banks, etc., getting sponsorship has become increasingly difficult. So, having that ability to interview and go through that process is possible with the green card. That kind of wraps up the presentation that I wanted to make. I'm sorry if I went through that quite quickly, but I wanted to be sensitive to time and also leave enough time for questions. So Anshu, should I maybe I'll just try to get out of this deck and come back here.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay,
Great.
I'm Raj.
Sorry, you're breaking in and out. Let me see if maybe I should just get out of the deck. See if that helps.
I think she's having internet connectivity problem.
Now, Anshu, I can hear you now. Yes.
So till then, a few questions in Q&A. We can address that.
Sure.
Is that fine?
What sort of visa categories are?
Okay, she's back.
Sorry, Anshu, can you? I'm not able to. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, let's do this then. Can you see the questions in the student questions?
Let's see here. I do not see. I'm sorry, I don't see the questions here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay.
Now I can.
So, what sort of visa categories are popular with students after their graduation in the US?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, you have the option to do the, pursue OPT, and that's certainly a common and very popular option. You have the option to try and get an H-1B. The H-1B, Anshu, is a lottery. It's a computer-generated number, and if you get it, great. Most likely, 70% chance you're not going to get it, and in which case you have to go back to your home country. Even if you do get it, it's very restrictive, right? You can't move jobs and locations and job functions. So those are your options. And the other option is clearly, the EB-5 option.
Right. And tell me, what kind of difficulties can people expect when they're going through this process?
Well, the difficulties are that you don't have certainty, right? When you're on campus and you're going through the church along with your friends, you don't know whether you are going to get sponsored. You don't know whether HR is going to ask you about sponsorship, and inevitably they will. And at that point, if you don't have the right visa status, it ends very quickly. So the challenge is that there's no certainty. And I think it's become painfully real for many of our families and their kids, how frustrating it can be to navigate this process. And really what we do at our firm is sounding board, right? We're here to make sure that children and parents are well informed. And we view this as a strategic family decision, right? This is not a transaction. This is a very important once in a lifetime strategic for the family. And looking at EB-5 as an option for some that can afford that level of investment. But for those who can, it opens up the optionality to stay in the States.
So, Raj, I'm going to rush through the rest of the questions so we cover as many questions as we can.
Sure.
How many get the OPT?
I'm sorry?
Typically, how many Indian students apply for the H-1 visa and how many get the OPT?
So the H-1B visa, in this current, I was just looking at the latest statistics for FY21, and it is USCIS, the US government received over 275,000 requests or applications. There's going to be a 31% chance or 31% success rate to get the H-1B. So that's about 85,000 will secure the H-1B out of that 275,000.
Okay. And are there any other immigration routes to settle in the US? Is there any other way of doing it?
There are. There's what is called the E-2 visa, which effectively allows folks who are entrepreneurial, they want to set up a business, they want to buy into a franchise, It's a minimum of $150,000 or so to do so. However, it is not a permanent solution. It remains a temporary solution to work and live in the US. Many do pursue that and then move over to EB-5 eventually to get the green card. But there are other ways to do a temporary solution. And for those of you who are interested in that, we also do specialize in the E2 option as well.
My last question to you is, if my visa expires while in the US, will I have to leave the country?
Yes, if your visa expired, unless you're able to get an extension, Anshu, you would have to leave. These are all very case-to-case situations. We work with immigration attorneys in the world, and for anyone who has more specific, more specificity, happy to introduce anyone on the call to an immigration attorney for more color on that. But typically, you would have to go back to your home country.
Where we go to do the LCR group, large and small teams is there and this is out there. So we would definitely, before the end of the policy, we would definitely do that.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
But here and you're back. Fantastic. So you were saying.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, my question was, if the visa expires while in the US, will you have to leave the country?
Yes, sorry. I was saying that you do have to leave unless you get an extension, and it's best to discuss this with an immigration attorney. We work with some of the top immigration attorneys in the world that can look at a case-by-case basis to provide that color, but typically you would have to go back to your home country at the end of the term.
Okay, fantastic. And very quickly, the risks with the EB-5 investment?
The risks are there. I mean, it's definitely there is business risk in the investment. Our goal as a firm and what we do is minimize that risk to bare minimum. And the way we do that is we work with real estate projects and developers that have had 100% track record on ensuring that the capital is getting returned at the end of your 5 years and making sure that you are getting the green card. So we have been fortunate to have had that type of track record. And so that's the way to mitigate the risk, is identifying a firm, identifying a project that has had a track record of 100% or close to 100% of capital return and the green card benefit.
Okay, fabulous. Now, let me try and pull up some questions for you from the audience.
Sure.
So someone here is saying for the EB-5, which family members are eligible to relocate along with the primary applicant?
So the primary applicant can be the mother or father and any children under the age of 21. You can also have the child be the primary applicant as long as the child is at 14 years old or older. So that is another option.
And we will try and have them answered by Raj. Raj, just the last question is someone saying my daughter is a US applicant, but she's studying in India and wants to apply to US school undergrad. Is she considered an international applicant?
Yes, if she's applying from India, she's an Indian citizen. Anshu, can you hear me? I think we lost Anshu's connection. If I understood the question right, if you are a Indian citizen, Anshu, you're back?
I think so. I can see you. Can you see me and hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. So if you're applying from India, you would be considered an international applicant. However, if you're a U.S. citizen applying from India, that's a little bit different, and you would be effectively considered a U.S. person, but with international experience, right? The only way to be considered a U.S. person is either you have a green card or you're a U.S. citizen. That's it.
Okay, fabulous. That's fabulous. And as I said before, Raj and his team are at the booth, so please feel free to visit them. Um, and thank you so much. Thank you, Raj. That was an invaluable session. I wish there was something like this when I had gone to the US years and years ago. But that was very, very
Thank you.
helpful. And
Thank you,
thank you,
Anshu. Thank
everyone.
you. If any of you have further questions, the booth, we're going to have myself and my colleague there. And if you have any other, if you want to reach out, feel free to reach out to me. I can post my email ID here in the comment section, and you guys can feel free to reach out if you'd like. Thank you again. Thank you, Anshu.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much, Raj. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today in this wonderful event curated by the Writer's Key. And we hope you've gathered lots of information required for your future visa applications. A session on Chopra University. In case you have any questions, please reach out to the Writer's Key team. Take care and have a great session. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.